Well, Britt, before we get started with our interview, we want to know a little bit about who Britt Taylor is. So, who is Britt Taylor?
So I was born in Marion, Massachusetts, so almost the Cape. We're pretty close to the Cape. I grew up sailing. We did a little bit of racing. We spent a lot of time on the boat. I went to Fitchburg State University and I studied technical communications, but I had a concentration in film, which is how I got involved with FETV, which is very exciting, a formative part of my career. But yeah, I started out in film and I ended up here.
And that leads us right into the next question. How do you start as a film media major, graduate from Fitchburg State, actually doing some work in that field to get into this? How does that happen?
It's funny. I keep saying passion is sort of inspires opportunity. I was very passionate about working on film, and I was really excited about working in TV. And the opportunity came up to work on an automotive TV series. It was called Classic Drive Television. And we got to work on all kinds of things. There were rovers, which are English cars. I was really excited about the American Muscle, which, I mean, you could tell now. But we got to work on a race car, this actually behind me, but it's a 55 Chevy Bel Air, and we were sort of putting it together for the show. But I got really interested in the behind the scenes, like actually working on the car, and I was asking, like, is there anything I could do? Can I help with this and be part of this? And we put that together for the Orange Drag Reunion, and that was in 2019. And I had so much fun. We ended up doing a lot of late nights putting that car together, and I had way too much fun at the drag race. I'd never been to one before, and that was a very transformative experience. I'd never seen cars like that before, except in car shows, but never actually heard them run, and it was addicting. It was very exciting.
So you go from standing behind a camera to being in front of the camera, editing video, to driving this vehicle 140 miles an hour. How do you make such a dramatic change in your life?
It was a very quick change, but it was nice that we did things one little piece at a time. So I didn't get right in this car. I didn't start right with this car. It was a very intense experience when we started with this, but I started out, we had a 78 Corvette that has since moved on, but I started out in that car. We went to New England Dragway, made a reasonable couple passes. That car ended up, so I made some mistakes in that car that I will never make in this car. So we will not see that one again. But it was humble beginnings, but we moved really fast. And I keep telling people, but it really is a lifestyle change. So it does take a little bit of time to get into it. It was a big change for me and for my small family. So it's been an intense experience, but one at a time.
And you've come on very quickly, very quickly. 2020, you finished in the top 5.
We did.
And
in points.
In points. And give us some of the highlights of last season as you head into 2021.
Yeah, so last season was really my rookie season. The first year I was getting to know the car, getting to understand how things work, how racing works in general. Bracket racing is such a numbers game that you really have to learn the little ins and outs of things. How to win is you're winning by 1,000th of a second sometimes, and if not even less. So it's really getting those nitty-gritty details. So last year we got most things ironed out. We got everything pretty much figured out, set up right with the car. This year I am so excited to get back out there. We've got things really dialed in. So it's gonna be a bigger motor this year. We got better equipment. So we're making strides forward this year. And some of the highlights of the last season would have been we finished top 5 in points, which was a big deal for us because there are just about 130, 140 cars out there, and one person walks away as the winner, and everybody else packs up and goes home. So it is so satisfying to make it to round 3, round 4, and make it into the finals is a really big deal. And we did a couple races this year. So those were some happy days at the track. We went home all smiles and ate some burgers, and it was a good time.
So when this program airs, it's going to be April of 2021. When does your season begin, and how often do you race?
So we're pretty much there every single weekend. We're starting just about April 3rd. Everybody's kind of rolling into it. So whatever equipment you got, we'll try to make it out there as soon as we can. But the test and tunes will begin April 3rd at New England Dragway. So we should be up there, and we race just about every weekend. We'll often do a Friday, which is usually just a test and tune day, a Saturday, which is a more mild race, and then Sunday will be your big national points race. So we'll be there just about every weekend. You can expect us to be at the track.
Now, you mentioned New England Dragway. Where else do you compete? What other tracks do you compete at?
Yeah, so really our home track would be Lebanon Valley, and that's out in, I think it's West Lebanon, New York. So it's just across the border from Massachusetts. So it's about a 2.5-hour drive from Fitchburg. And that's really our home track. We spend a lot of time there. We bring the camper out there. We stay there for the weekend. So we'll go back and forth between the Valley and New England Dragway, but we love both.
You're not just a driver. You were telling me before we started the interview that you really get into working on, well, with your dad, working on a sailboat and actually working mechanically on the boat, and you got into vehicles too. Was he a big influence in what you're doing now in terms of your love of mechanics?
I would say absolutely. He's always been not only just cars, but just in everything in general. He's always taken everything apart, and like he loves the pieces, and he's always told me all about the little inner workings of things. He had a 1950s Studebaker that he really loved. I would love to find someday for him, track that down. But he really inspired a love of tinkering for me. I love tools. I find tools so fun and fascinating. I like learning how to use things. That's actually how I got into film. Actually, I love the technical aspects of things. I like the creative side of things as well, but I'm really interested in working on things, taking them apart. And now taking them apart is one thing, but now that I know how to put them back together is a big step.
So you do a lot of work on your own vehicle.
Yes, we thankfully have an awesome team, so I get to work with this really well-rounded group of people. But it has been one of the highlights of this opportunity and experience has been learning how to get to work on race cars specifically, but just classics in general. I love good old American muscle. It's fun to work on.
Now, you mentioned the influence of your dad in your life, and I wanted to expand on that a little bit. Who else has been, maybe professionally, who has been an influence for you?
I think just some of the there are an unbelievable number of women in drag racing, but some people at the top are Leah Pruitt, was one of my big heroes. I actually got to meet her last year at PRI, and I tried not to be too awkward and weird about it, but I was so excited. There's Courtney Force and Brittany Force, two of the Force daughters who are in Top Fuel, and they're amazing. Everybody knows Shirley Muldowney is one of the top women in racing, and these women really paved the way for a lot of us and just making things both between equipment and just kind of rounding out the sport demographically has been a really big influence. I'm really proud to be in a sport with such awesome women.
And I had written a question, and we were talking about it before we began the interview, about the perception of racing is it's a male-dominated sport, but you were quick to point something out to me. So let's talk about the number of women in this sport.
There are a surprising number of women in this sport. I get asked a lot if how what are the challenges of being a woman in this sport, and there's some equipment wise and otherwise, but there are a lot of women who drag race, and I would say I wish I knew the statistics specifically, but I'd say about 1 in every 10 cars that goes down the track is a woman behind the wheel, and they kick butt really well. There are a lot of them. I watch them every day, and they're really quick on the tree, so their reaction times are really fast. They're hardworking ladies, young and older, and it's awesome to be in that group of people. I really love them.
Now, you drive a vehicle that is called you drag race.
Yes.
Take us through the step-by-step process. When you get in the car, you go up to lights, right? People are familiar with traffic lights. This is similar. Yeah. Take us through that process, and when you hit the gas and go.
It is such a mental game because it's such a short period of time. I run about just under 10 seconds. So your day is made or broken in just under 10 seconds. So it's a lot of kind of mental preparation ahead of time, sort of visualizing what you're going to do. Before a pass, I'll sit in the car and I have my hands in the position. I've got a launch button, which is called trans brake. So I'm practicing my reactions, and you sit there and you really picture it. So I'll sit there with my eyes closed and kind of picturing the light come down. Just to sort of get in the right headspace for it, because you're put up there, you get maybe 3 or 4 seconds to kind of get yourself in order before you make a 9-second pass, and it goes by really quick. So it's a lot of hurry up and wait. So you sit in the lanes and you're ready to go, and you sit there for sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, and you just kind of getting in the right headspace and getting competitive, which makes a big difference. So not too quick, but just enough. There's a nice balance of I wouldn't say anxiety, but just the right amount of concern to get quick on the tree. So it's worth it.
How many passes or how many races would you be going through as you continue to win throughout the day? What is that process like?
So usually a typical day looks like about 6 or 7 passes. A test and tune day will make a few more just to get some data. It's because it's so numbers oriented. We're really trying to get the data in. This is not an electronic car, so we don't have the computer where we can see all the little things. So we need numbers. We need time slips that'll show us what kind of numbers we're getting, what kind of speed we're getting for the weather conditions. So we spend a lot of time tuning. On a really good race day, we'll make 5, 6, 7 passes. On a not so good race day, we'll make about 2 passes. Because if you get out round 1, you make your 2 test and tune passes, and then you get 1 round, and then you're done for the day. So we like a day with 5, 6, 7 passes is a really good day.
And as you say, you're from start to finish, and you finish with a parachute coming out of the back of the car, right?
Yes.
The brakes don't stop you as well as the parachute does.
Yeah, it's good to save the brakes a little bit. I don't pull the chute every time. That's for your really top end speed. So that's more towards the end of the season. Some people don't know when the weather gets cooler, the car's a lot happier. So the car runs a little bit faster towards the end of the season. So that's more you're pulling your chute time. I can use the brakes by themselves just fine, but your parachute saves your brakes a lot of wear and tear during the season because you're making some pretty hard stops to get off the track after going 140 miles an hour.
I just want people to wrap their head around the fact that you have a parachute that helps you stop.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. And what's your top speed as you go down the track?
Top speed, we're averaging around 138, 140. So, but that is with this motor and this setup. So I'm really excited to see what our new motor and new setup can do because this is going to be a bigger motor. It's going to be a faster car. We're getting we might be around 100 more horsepower this year. So we're looking to see some numbers this year. We're really looking forward to it.
And you really dig this?
I do. I really, I'm very excited. It feels good to go fast.
Yeah, but you're flying. You're not just...
Yeah, but you just get that a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little quicker.
What about, have you thought beyond what you're doing now to something bigger, a bigger stage?
So a lot of people dream about going on to Top Fuel, or so I like this sport. I like the way it is. What I'm really interested in, I would love to bring more people, especially young women into this sport. It is incredibly empowering experience. It's something you start out, I don't think very many people think like, I could do this. I'm going to be awesome, great at this. Like you start out and you're like, okay, I think it's going to be okay. Like I think I'll live. Yeah. And then you get into it and it's very empowering. And I would love to introduce more young women into this sport. I'd love for them to be a part of it. So we'd really love to train other young people just to be part of the sport because it is an aging sport. It's coming back a lot. There's a lot of new interest in it, but we need to really pick up the pace on the young people joining drag racing.
So how do people get in touch with Britt Taylor?
So if you want to get in touch with me, we have a Facebook page, which is Britt Taylor Racing, and we also have an Instagram page. So where Robin especially takes good care of us, is on it with notifications, and we try to respond as promptly as possible. So go check out our racing page, which is the Facebook page and the Instagram page, and we're working on our YouTube channel. We're getting up there with we're doing pretty well. So check us out on those 3 platforms mainly.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic career.
Thank you.
Very impressive for those of us who are just, regular people behind the steering wheel. It's kind of mind-blowing what you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
We're pleased to welcome to North Central Journal in this segment of the show, Erin Donelan, who is a Fitchburg State student. We're bringing her on the show because she's also an Eagle Scout, which is pretty impressive for a lot of reasons. But before we get into the gist of your decision to pursue that rank in scouting, let's talk about you in general. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Erin.
So I'm Erin Donelan. I'm from Fitchburg, lived here my entire life, 19 years now. I have been in Fitchburg Public Schools my entire life since kindergarten all through graduating. I graduated 2020 in that horrendous year, that horrendous graduation. And now I'm attending Fitchburg State University, so still in Fitchburg, majoring in special education for severe disabilities, which will enable me to teach special ed at all grade levels. So, yeah.
That's very impressive, and it's nice to have a Fitchburg native here on the show, too, that has accomplished so much in such a short period of time. Now, the Boy Scouts of America, I think, opened their doors to women, females, in 2017. Is that correct?
Yep.
What made you decide to join the organization?
So I have 2 brothers who are heavily involved with Scouts, as is my dad. He is a Scoutmaster for Troop 17 here in Fitchburg. So I've had this big background of scouting my whole life since they were in Cub Scouts, and I was that little sister that was always there. Or then once my older brother moved on, I was that big sister that was always there. When I was 13, I heard of the program that's called Venture Scouts, which is a co-ed program that the Boy Scouts of America offers. It's lesser known of, but it's still there. And there was a crew up in Gardner that I ended up joining with my older brother at the time. Well, he's still my older brother, but we joined, and I then was kind of hooked, and I went on all the adventures with them. And it was more of a adventure-based group rather than like earning ranks, which was fun. And then I worked at the summer camp. So the summer of,
This will be 21 coming up.
Yes, this is 21. So in the summer of 2018, my now Scoutmaster came up to me while I was working at the trading post, and she says, "Erin, I'm making a troop. Do you want to join?" And of course I say yes. So that's how I did that.
How about the support from your family, your brothers, your dad?
Oh,
they've
yeah.
got to be pretty proud of you too.
Oh
huh?
yeah, humongous support from all my family, my dad, my brothers. My brother, he's in the National Guard, so he wasn't around when I was first starting my journey in that. And so he would write letters because he was at basic training, and he wrote me a letter. He was like, "I'm so proud of you," and that. So it was good. It was good to get that. And then my mom has been with me the whole way too, and she would not let me get it.
Well, having been in scouting myself many years ago and not achieving the rank of Eagle, I know what the commitment is like. And for me, life kind of got in the way and I just ran out of time. Tell me about that commitment. How hard was it for you to get to this point? And you did it in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, so I had a 2-year window. So because I joined at the age of 17, they granted me an extension to get the rank of Eagle. So I had to get it within 2 years of joining the troop. So with that, I had time frames set up where I had to get this rank by this time, this rank by this time, this rank by this time. And so really it was just keeping with it. But what really helped me going was the support of my troop and my Scoutmaster, because they were like, "Erin, you really just have to do one more thing and then you're there." And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I do it, and then they're like, and then I'm like, "Oh, now I have to do this one." And they're like, "Erin, you really just have to do this." I'm like, okay, yeah. So it was kind of just like being like given that realization of what I have to do and when I have to do it by.
Now, one of the requirements is the number of merit badges
Yes.
you have to have.
Yes.
It's 21, correct? Some of which you can choose to pursue on your own to achieve the merit badge, but some are required.
Yes.
And tell us about some of those that are required that you must have.
So on my merit badge slash here has all of the merit badges I've earned. The ones with the silver border are the Eagle required. So those ones you have to get, no choice, no ifs, ands, or buts. If you don't get them, too bad. And then, so the ones with the green border are like optional, but you still have to get 8 of them to get to the 21. So I chose them by if they were interests of me. So I have this one, disabilities awareness, and climbing, which were like my big interests.
Climbing?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Climbing is my very first merit badge I've earned. So that was fun. And then disabilities awareness is close to my heart with me going into special ed.
Sure,
so.
yeah. Now, one of the other significant challenges to achieve the rank of Eagle is what they call an Eagle Scout Service Project. And first of all, before we talk about your project, tell us what the requirements of that project are.
So for the Eagle Scout Service Project, you need to demonstrate leadership is the big piece of it, and giving back to your community. Those are the 2 big pieces. So with those, you have to come up with a project, fill out a packet in a sense of what the project is, how you're going to accomplish it, how long it's going to take, how much you're planning to do, and that. So some people, typically they think to build something, and that, so if they have to build something, they have to go through materials they need, this, that, the other thing. But I didn't build something, so.
So we'll talk about what you did do. Tell us about your project and why you chose this particular project, why you chose to target the audience you targeted.
Yeah. So my project was I want to say program, but it's not really a program. I put together comfort kits, which were backpacks that had all the necessities needed for children who were transitioning from their homes into foster care in Fitchburg, and that was my original goal, but then it went broader to I covered all of Central Mass. So that was my goal. I brought together over 115 kits, and I wanted to do this because my troop is located down in Sturbridge, and I wanted to be able to include them, but also include it in my community up here. So, and plus with COVID-19 being a big factor with everything, it allowed for me to involve everyone without having to worry about social interaction, where if they wanted to donate something, they could come, drop it off, and then I could get to it. Or if they wanted to donate monetary donations, they could do that. But it allowed for other people to help without having to help direct hands-on, which was good. And I also, growing up in Fitchburg, I know the need for these kits where there's kids who are going into foster care every day. So if for them to get this backpack right when they get there, it's a nice little thing, like knowing, hey, we care about you. Here's this.
So what is in the backpack?
So I targeted my backpacks I made for teenage groups, so like 13 older, and so there's hair conditioner, shampoo, toothbrush, toothpaste, like all your cosmetic type stuff. For females, I did half male, half female. Females, there's feminine products for them. And then razors, shaving cream, face mask, hand sanitizer, notebook, pencil, and a lot more other stuff that was just like, and a blanket. Very full backpacks.
Now, you started off with a planned number of kits.
Yes.
Which quickly exploded into a much bigger number. How did that happen?
So originally I was going to do about 20 kits, 10 for female, 10 for male, donate them all to the DCF office that covers Fitchburg. But then after seeing the amount of support and donations I received, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to go much bigger. So then it ended up to becoming, within a day, really, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to widen my goal. So then really it just took off, and I was like, okay, now I'll have 50. I'm like, oh, now I'll have 75. Oh wait, now I guess I have 100.
Well,
which was
beautiful.
Awesome.
Great story. And another part of your story I wanted to talk to you about before we wrap up is Troop 163. You're in Sturbridge, not in Fitchburg, and how did that happen?
So back when my scoutmaster asked me to join, she said, Erin, you want to join my troop? It's in Sterling. That's what I heard, Sterling. I'm like, oh, that's the next town over. Fine, perfect. No, it was Sturbridge. But I had already made the commitment, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. And it was nice. I got a nice drive every Sunday when we would go for our meetings, and yeah, it was good.
So when will you officially be awarded the Eagle Scout presentation?
I'll have my Eagle Scout ceremony sometime once the COVID restrictions are raised, because right now my guest list is on the side that would cause a lot of fines to happen. So I'm waiting for that to be raised and it'll happen up here in Fitchburg or around it in the Fitchburg area.
So you're a freshman at Fitchburg State.
Mm-hmm.
You've achieved the rank of Eagle Scout.
Mm-hmm.
What's next for you? What are your goals after this?
So in Scouts, I'm an assistant Scoutmaster now, and so I'm helping new Scouts when they come in get started and get the ball rolling for them. And then for like my professional goals, I'm hoping to become a special education teacher here in Fitchburg as well. Hopefully sooner than later.
Erin, it's been great talking with you, great meeting you, and certainly we admire everything you've done at such a young age. Congratulations and all the best.
Thank you.